telling you the situation to leading up to that. I'm not talking about after. I'm talking about the reason why everybody left was because the party got moved to the hills. So he said, hey, bro, where that nigga went? We walking down the stairs.
You talking about Jorge?
No, I'm talking about BG. I'm not with Jorge.
So BG was talking about Jorge?
I'm with BG. Yes.
Oh.
I'm with BG at the whole time. I'm not with Jorge. Jorge, that's a different story.
Okay.
You was with Jorge. I'm with BG. I'm with the nigga who plotting this shit. He talking about, bro, we gonna jump. He's like, we fighting. He's like, we gonna fight. I'm like, nah, I ain't here. We ain't fighting him. We outmatched. We unmatched. You do what you want. If somebody jump in, I'll help. But we unmatched right now, cuz. On Nation. That's when they was like, all right, we moving this shit to the hills. So they moved the party to the hills. You know, you gotta walk down them stairs. And then remember that house right there that we always used to party at freshman year? My homeboy ain't stay there no more. So
I remember that.
We walking up the street. This nigga tapped me. Everybody moving. He like, where that nigga Jorge go? And instantly, bro, this is where I fucked up. This is why I blame myself for the whole situation. Like I was telling her, I said, instead of me pointing this way, I said, man, that nigga went there somewhere. So it's me and
you was pointing the wrong way. You didn't even purposely mean to point.
Yeah, I didn't mean to. I pointed exactly where he went. And goddamn, it's me and Sam walking. And like I told her, bro, that nigga Sam was fucked up. And we get down there, I see these niggas. And boom, the shit happened. I tell this nigga Sam, like, bro, what the fuck you doing? Like, he drunk. He only 17, 18 at the time. Like, bro, this nigga under me. You feel me? I'm his big brother. I just wanted to turn him up one time. So I said, hey, bro, let's go. He like, yeah, you right. Truck parked this way. So what the fuck we walking down here for? Because I know it's finna go down. I told her, as soon as I turn my head, all I hear.
On September 25th, 2021, George Harris III survived a horrific and life-altering assault at the hands of Washington State University football players Brandon Gray, Sam Carell, and several others. Washington State University football player Nicholas Sheets aided and abetted in the assault as well. On that fateful Friday night in Pullman, Washington, George and his friend were attending a house party of 200 people until Pullman police arrived to shut it down. George and his friend exited the house and walked approximately 1 block away and turned the corner when George was suddenly and viciously pistol whipped from behind, causing him to lose consciousness and fall to the ground. When George regained consciousness, he was disoriented and found himself lying on his back with Brandon Gray, Sam Carell, and the others brutally kicking and punching him, causing George to sustain serious head trauma and causing blood to run into his eyes. George then heard a gunshot. In a desperate attempt to defend himself, George reached for his weapon and fired, acting only to survive the vicious attack. The Division I football players, with their incredible size and strength, and being in a state of an alcohol-fueled frenzy, were hard to stop, even with gunfire, but eventually they got off of George and ran away. George immediately ceased fire when the attackers fled the scene. Tragically, George's roommate, an innocent bystander, was struck by gunfire. George immediately began rendering aid and screaming for help. George picked up his injured friend and rushed him back to the house where Pullman police were in order to get his friend aid. George, still bleeding from the head, frantically explained to police about the attack and who was responsible. An ambulance arrived a few minutes later, and while his friend was being loaded inside, he gave George the thumbs-up signal that he was okay. The police told George to go home. While home, George and the other roommates heard the rescue helicopter and prayed together that their friend would be all right. Sadly, despite all of George's heroic efforts to help his friend to safety, his friend died from his injuries 6 hours later after authorities sent him to Pullman Regional Hospital, which is not equipped to treat serious gunshot wounds. The Washington State football player, Brandon Gray, who initiated the attack, was also struck by a bullet, but he was life-lifted to a Level 1 trauma center in Spokane, Washington, where he ultimately survived. The crime scene was not secured. Pullman police failed to interview the many witnesses at the scene. The assailants involved were never brought to justice. The police investigation was delayed for years for reasons not yet fully understood. The family of George's friend will not be able to receive justice for their deceased son because the Pullman Police Department once again has delayed an investigation past the statutes of limitations. George's appointed attorney in Pullman instructed George to cut off all contact with his deceased friend's family, even though George desperately wanted to grieve with them and explain to them what had happened to their son. Not once in the past 3 years did the Pullman Police Department take steps to apprehend the responsible parties who perpetrated the attack, even though they had evidence pointing to the Washington State University football players. Now, all of a sudden, 3 years after the assault, and for unknown reasons, George Harris III, who is a model, law-abiding citizen, having never committed a crime, and who was an active member of the Washington State University Student Council, and just months away from graduating when he was viciously attacked, is now being made the scapegoat, standing trial for manslaughter while the true perpetrators who assaulted him and killed his friend walk free. In response to this tragic incident, we have launched the Justice for George Harris III campaign. We seek to raise awareness about George's case, advocate for a thorough investigation, and demand accountability from those responsible. Our goals are clear and unwavering. 1. A comprehensive and transparent investigation into the assault and subsequent events. 2. Accountability for the individuals involved in the assault. 3. Investigation into the failure to provide timely and appropriate medical assistance. 4. Policy changes to ensure better protection and support for students on campus. 5. Pullman Police Department and Whitman County prosecutor to take immediate action to bring those responsible to stand trial. As a mother, my heart breaks every day knowing the pain and trauma my son and his friend's family have endured because of this horrific attack and the lack of accountability. George is a kind, gentle, and compassionate young man who has always done the right thing. The injustice he has suffered as a result of this attack is a heavy burden that no one should have to bear. George's story is one of courage, resilience, and the unyielding pursuit of justice. I urge you to stand with us in this fight. Your support can make a profound difference. By signing petitions, attending rallies, and spreading the word about George's story, we can amplify our voices and ensure that justice is served. And together, we can bring about change and prevent such tragedies from happening to others. As his mother, I am committed to fighting for him and ensuring that my son receives justice.